This production is brought to you by the Alliance Sportsmanship Foundation. Leadership, ethics, accountability, academics, serving the Charlotte community. Cricket. Smile, you're on cricket. Atrium Health Musculoskeletal Institute. If you need an orthopedic or sports medicine specialist, choose the system that U.S. News and World Report rated best in the region. Call 704-863-HURT, H-U-R-T, and ask about our same-day appointment guarantee. Hello and welcome to the 2022 Queen City Senior Bowl Selection Show, and I'm your host, Matt Morrow. Tonight we are revealing the 80 student athletes playing in the Queen City Senior Bowl at Olympic High School on Saturday, December 17th at 12 p.m. The Queen City Senior Bowl was created by the Alliance Sportsmanship Foundation to create a memorable and rewarding experience for the best high school football players and coaches in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the surrounding counties. This game will be the platform for student athletes to showcase their unique athletic gifts. The Queen City Senior Bowl is also dedicated to serving the community. A portion of the proceeds from the game, along with the Alliance Sportsmanship Foundation's fundraising efforts, are awarded to their charitable partner, the Metro School, which directly helps their organization and its daily operations. So fans, please visit queencityseniorbowl.com, click on the Tickets Donate tab, and purchase a ticket to the game or donate right now. Now, the selection process for this was very, very important. The selection committee, comprised of respected media members and Queen City Senior Bowl executive personnel, had their hands full with the selection process this year. Over 285 players submitted their game highlights for evaluation. The committee made a lot of hard decisions in putting this roster together. A lot of deserving names may not be said tonight, but that does not mean that you are not a great player. And at this point, I would like to bring on who is Stan Norfleet, a former 4-star defensive end for the Independence Patriots and a longtime Charlotte sports media personality. And you can follow Stan on Twitter at StanSportsMan. All one phrase.
Appreciate the invite. Looking forward to this year's crop. I think we're in for a great show.
Absolutely. So Stan, let's talk about the coaches. So the coaching staff selection is just as crucial to the success of this program. Last year's head coaches in Mike Newsom and Brandon Thompson produced a memorable game, with the East taking the victory 41-17 to lead the all-time Queen City Senior Bowl series at 2-1. This year's coaches are especially talented and will bring some new elements to this year's game. Now, Stan, we all know you're a Big Eye legend. It's only right for you to be the East team ambassador on this selection show. What can you tell us about the East coaches?
Oh, well, the coaches reflect the talent that's over in the East. We get busy. Shout out to the Big Eye, 1967 Patriot Drive. But I promise, man, I won't be biased when we're going through all this, so as the selection process has gone underway. But this particular year, led by Hickory Ridge's head coach, Jupiter Wilson, this is personal for me. Jupiter Wilson, I have no doubt, will do a fantastic job this year preparing these young players to play from the East. He and I have a connection that goes all the way back to when we were coming out of our respective high schools. He up in the Commonwealth of Virginia and me here in the Tar Heel State. We went on several recruiting visits together, including the Tar Heels where he signed, UVA where I signed, as well as the national champion that year, the University of Tennessee. So I'm absolutely super happy. I'm geeked, and I'm so thankful that we have somebody in our community like a Jupiter Wilson, as I have continued to monitor his career even after his playing days. Now, he's not alone. There are other head coaches on his staff as well. Let me get to these names. Coaches such as Jason McManus of Myers Park, what that program has produced over the last several seasons. Darren Shepard up in Concord, and Thomas Langley of Metro Line and Christian. Lastly, for me, Matt, let me say this. It is not easy to be a coach when you got this much talent. Yeah, everybody thinks that more is more, but sometimes it becomes more of a headache because you can't appease all 40 of these guys on the roster. All of these guys want to go to school, and all of these guys want to rep for their city. So these coaches are going to have their hands full for sure.
Absolutely, man. But, you know, the East coaches are very impressive, but the West, might be the best. But the West head coach is a West Side guy, and Joe Evans, a South Mech. He's been at that program for several years. He's a young and exciting head coach, full of energy and passion. And he's got some really good guys with him on that team, coaching staff, I should say, as well. Like Greg Lloyd of Kings Mountain, one of the best teams in the state of North Carolina this year. Yeah. Brandon Wiggins of Chambers, and we saw what
I've heard of that program before.
Yeah, absolutely. And then JT Postel of East Gaston led that program to the third round of playoffs last year. So those guys are successful, and they've done a great job leading their respective programs this year. But we have said a lot about the coaches, the purpose of the game, but everyone's watching to hear about the players. So let's start talking about the players. And we're going to start with those guys that throw the football, the quarterbacks.
Dalen Lee, Shelby. Dymere Edwards, Cox Mill. Justin Rockamore, Stuart Kramer. Sean Boyle, Charlotte Catholic.
Of course. They always highlight what's going on around here. Anytime, whatever level of football, anytime you're talking about kicking this thing around. So, for the East, there were two quarterbacks that were awarded: Dymere Edwards out of Cox Mill and Sean Boyle out of Charlotte Catholic, a program that we follow around this part. For the sake of time, I'll say this. I'm very impressed with what Sean Boyle has done. 6'2", 200-pound, 3-star kid, has committed to West Virginia. And you can see clearly there are a lot of resources and time have gone into preparing him to get to the next level, the mechanics, the footwork, some sneaky athleticism. But ultimately, here's what I'm looking for, Matt, from a quarterback. Both of these guys, again, Dymere Edwards and Sean Boyle, their tape exudes leadership, control, and confidence. Easier to do when it's your homegrown crew. Can you do it when the stakes are higher and everybody around you is also an all-star? Because the ultimate sign of leadership in every quarterback guru that I've been around, and Hall of Fame head coaches and the like, the quarterback is put players in position to be successful. The more successful the team, the more we applaud the quarterback. We'll see what goes down on Saturday, December 17th with that crew.
Absolutely. And those two guys are very, very talented and have led productive seasons for their respective schools. But on the West side, Dalen Lee and Justin Rockamore are really record-setting quarterbacks. Justin is about to set the Gaston County passing record, all-time passing record, which is just amazing. Dalen Lee, you talk about talent. He's won state championships at Shelby. He's been a general.
You can see why he jumps off the tape.
Absolutely. I mean, he's led that school the past couple years as a starting quarterback. Most quarterbacks don't get multiple years at the helm in high school, especially. And he's been, a tremendous leader for a program that is storied throughout the state of North Carolina with all the championships they've won, all the success they've had over the years. And that's a lot of pressure when you're the lead, man at a program like Shelby. But he's done a phenomenal job, and he's going to do a phenomenal job leading this West team in the Queen City Senior Bowl. Now, quarterbacks can't throw it every play. We got to give it some love to the running backs. So let's talk about the running backs for these respective squads.
Carmelo Best, Ashbrook. Wisdom Holmes, Parkwood. Jawan Howell, Mooresville. Tyrell Cord, Cox Mill. Leighton Duke, Metrolina Christian. Sir Stovall, East Gaston.
Yeah, you still have to be able to run the football, especially late in the year where it gets cold and it's more difficult to throw the ball around and receivers are nicked up and all of that, quarterbacks fighting through some things themselves. So you got to be able to protect the lead and put it away. And these three names I'm going to read from the East, I would like to congratulate. How about Wisdom Holmes from Parkwood, Tyrell Cord from Cox Mill, and Leighton Duke of Metrolina Christian. Really like this group. And quite frankly, what I found most impressive is that this is a complete backfield. I really like how all three of these guys bring some different skill sets. I think about Wisdom Holmes being decisive, patient, and that one foot in the ground and hit the hole coming out the back way. Tyrell Cord is just an explosive dude. Great hands, can catch the ball, and he clearly has home run speed. That is not anything I question about on the east side. And I think about the speed and the physical style of a Leighton Duke. And let me just add all that together and say from my running back group real quickly, I love the physicality, of how these guys play in the backfield. But most importantly, they play hard and a consistent amount of effort. Wherever that crew is lined up, all three in their respective areas, that hard work and effort part is going to benefit them, not only in the athletic pursuits, but that'll help them in academia as well. Really like what the committee selected for me this year.
Absolutely. That's an impressive group right there. But over on the west side, these three guys are some special leaders. They are the focal point of their respective offenses, and that's why they're in this game. Starting with Carmelo Best at Ashbrook, who's been a linchpin for the Green Wave the past couple of years. I've enjoyed watching Melo throughout his career. Incredible work ethic, runs the ball very hard. Great vision.
Oh, yeah.
He has a little shake in his game. You love it. He's the complete package. Jawarn Howell of Mooresville. I tell you, man, we know when you talk about Mooresville football, it's downhill run game behind the big offensive line, and Howell gets it done. Plain and simple. Great size, 6'1", 195. He runs behind his pad. He's got power, but he, like you said about Cord, he's got that getaway speed. They take it to distance, and I've seen it several times in person this year. Incredibly impressive. And then Nehemiah Sir Stovall from East Gaston. East Gaston runs first, second, and third, and Stovall is the man to make that engine go, and he is speed. I mean, absolute speed personified. He gets in the open field. No one is going to catch him. I loved watching this film. What a productive player for a good East Gaston program.
Matt, let me interrupt long enough to interject this if I could. I would be remiss if I didn't say this, and I promise, I won't do this on every group. I just want to tell you, Carmelo Best out of Ashbrook,
yeah,
I think he's the best player I saw in everybody I evaluated on both sides. It would not surprise me if he emerged as the MVP of this game. I was that impressed by what he did with that football in his hands, rocking that green and white. I thought I was watching a reincarnation of Nick Maddox or something. I know it's a different school, same color in this area.
Well, that's why the West is the best, there. There you go.
Yeah, y'all stacked it against me, but that's cool. See what they did against us, bro. Go ahead, what's our next position group, man?
Well, we got the guys that can do a little bit of blocking, a little bit of receiving, and that's the tight end. So let's talk about those guys.
Chase Wigginton, Lake Norman. Trevion Graham, Rocky River. Danye Coleman, Myers Park. Liam Gruel, Providence Day.
the tight ends for the East, I found this to be more intriguing group, specifically of the tight ends, than any other tight end group I've had in the other Queens Senior Bowls. So let's get to the names first. I don't want the mothers and dads to get upset with me. How about Trevion Graham out of Rocky River? And how about Danye Coleman out of Myers Park? Now, Coleman has some flexibility, good speed, decent athlete. Neither one of these guys are going to do anything for me in terms of the home run explosive ability. These are guys that are going to allow the quarterbacks to matriculate themselves down the field, what I call stick guys. They're going to go to the sticks. They're going to sit down. Can you find the cavity and creases in the man coverage or in the zone coverage, rather, settle down in there and find it. But overall, that tight end group, I love the fact that they also play defense. So don't be surprised if either one of these dudes wind up making plays on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe I'm just a little bit jaded, play some DN as well as tight end when I was coming up myself. But congratulations to that crew.
Absolutely, man. Over here on the west side, I love the diversity of the tight ends that we have here. Chase Wigginton from Lake Norman, an incredible flex kind of tight end like you were talking about.
He is.
In the red zone, Lake Norman will put him out wide. He can go catch the fade ball, one-on-one situations. And then Lake Norman's a run-first offense, so when they run that play action, he runs that little sail route. You know, he's got the speed to beat a linebacker in pass coverage. He's got the height at 6'3" to win over a safety that may be trying to play him in coverage. He's a really good receiving tight end that can also get nasty and block in a run-first offense. And then Liam Gruel from Providence Day. You talk about a two-way player. Liam Gruel also plays linebacker for Providence Day, and he's one of those, when you look at his film, he's one of them old school throwback two-way guys that likes to get nasty and physical.
That's exactly what I saw.
and I love it. I love it because you think about Providence Day, you think about, you know, all the passing and, you know, all the star guys they have and the stats and the touchdowns. And Gruel does the dirty work. You always got to have a guy that does the dirty work. And he is that guy. And I love seeing that, and that's why he's on this West team right here. For sure, man. All right. Now, we just talked about, you know, the pretty guys that make all the plays. So we gotta give them some love. Here we go, the Queen City Senior Bowl, wide receivers.
Jalen Springs, Independence. Michael Nesbitt, South Meck. Kendall Harris, Cox Mill. Sean Walker, Chambers. Adriel Miller, Central Cabarrus. Jaden Holler, Providence Day. Kobe Watts Williams, Concord. Ryken Maxwell, North Meck. Caleb Behringer, West Charlotte. Zadmel Patterson, Wennington. Bryce Davis, Monroe. LJ Allen, Burns.
This is my wristband and towel group. Nobody has more wristbands, towels, tape on fingers, spats on shoes than the wide receivers, but nonetheless, we can't do it without them. So let's go through this list. How about Jalen Springs representing Big IG? I see you. Kendall Harris.
I had a feeling he was going to be first.
That's just how the list fell. Jalen Springs. How about Kendall Harris out of Cox Mill? Excuse me, correct me if I'm mistaken. How about Adriel Miller out of Central Cabarrus?
Yep.
Kobe Watts Williams out of Concord. Zymil Patterson out of Weddington. And Bryce Davis out of Monroe. So many skills. Don't have the time to get into every single one of those guys. I will say that Adriel Miller of Central Cabarrus is probably the one that stood out most to me, quite frankly, rocking that number 4. Quick, shifty, catches with his hands, can stop and start, little jitterbug, reminds me of a baby Tyreek Hill, if you will. He has some of those types of attributes. Overall, though, I thought this year's wide receiver group in the East, I really liked the size. I liked that they were multifaceted, and some can line up in the X, some can line up at the Y. They motion out of the backfield, with that jet and orbit motion. These coaches have done an excellent job putting these guys in position to take advantage of these traits. And then lastly, I feel very good about the home run ability. Every single one of these dudes, if the ball touches their hands, it's 6, Brody. Really gonna put a lot of pressure on that West to tackle my guys.
Absolutely. Now, this West group of receivers, we got a little bit of everything over here, man. I'm so excited about seeing these guys in action. Starting with Michael Nesbitt of South Meck, Sean Walker at Chambers, Jaden Holler of Providence Day, Ryken Maxwell of North Meck, Caleb Behringer at West Charlotte, and LJ Allen at Burns. I tell you, you got a lot of height with this group. You got speed with this group, playmaking ability. The one guy that I'll highlight out of this group is Michael Nesbitt. Incredible height at 6'3", 6'4", probably. He's great in the red zone, high point in the football, one-on-one fade situations. He plays a wildcat quarterback. He can go in and get it done in the short yardage situations. And he's got, really good speed. And you think about the 6'3" guy, you don't think about him, toasting people down the field. Nesbitt can get...
Go ahead, Nesbitt. It's about Nesbitt, I'm sorry.
In general. But he has that special ability. So I'm really excited about this wide receiver group. A lot of them were the lead dogs, at their respective schools. Oh, of course. And they've done an awesome job and are deserving, to be in this game for sure.
Hey, Matt, before we transition, one other quick point. I'm sorry, real quick. I don't know if you feel this way, but it is evident to me that we live in this 7-on-7 culture because collectively, they are catching the ball and making big plays. I'm talking about as a group, East and West, at a greater clip than they did when you and I were coming out of this thing. So I'm just saying, I mentioned the passing academies for the quarterbacks. The 7-on-7 camps and passing clinics are clearly paying dividends. So kudos to the parents, to the coaches, to the adults that are helping these kids get where they need to get to. It is translating to on-field performance for sure.
Absolutely. That's well said.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you again. You were going to the big boy.
And exactly. We've talked a lot about the pretty guys, but we got to talk about the guys that get in the mud and get it done. Let's start off with the offensive lineman.
Frank Giositz, Weddington. Isaiah Eskridge, Kings Mountain. Dominic Kelly, Cuthbertson. Tyson Moore, Providence Day. Sean McFarland, Marvin Ridge. Terrence Mackey, Olympic. Joshua Hole, Providence Day. Mark Tomjanovic, Providence. Caden Smith, Hunter Huss. Justin Long, Hickory Ridge. Jack Branham, Northwest Cabarrus. Jaden Harris, Hopewell. Elijah Greer, West Cabarrus. Ola Olasimbo, North Met.
All right. In no certain order, let me say that. Again, I don't want moms and dads unhappy with me. My Twitter's out there for Pete's sake. All right. Again, correct me if I mispronounce. Frank Gilsitz out of Weddington. Dominic Kelly out of Cuthbertson. Sean McFarland out of Marvin Ridge. Mark Tomjanovich out of Providence. I got Justin Long out of Hickory Ridge. Jack Branham out of Northwest Cabarrus. And I've also got Elijah Greer out of West Cabarrus. So overall snapshot, again, I can't get into everybody for the sake of time, but really diverse group. Overall, my group is just so flagrantly disrespectful when it comes to how they treat defensive linemen. My God, I repeat, West, I don't know how y'all gonna handle my boys. To a man, every single piece of video I watch on every single one of these dudes, they believe in being nasty, aggressive, and just flagrantly disrespectful in how they finish the play, especially in the run game. I got some athletes over here that can get out there and get out that stance and kick block. They can glide really smart. And I want to end on this point. To a man, for those that listed their GPAs, multiple players in this group with 4.0s and better. How does that help them in a game like the Queen City Senior Bowl? Because coaches are going to ask you on the fly to operate schemes that you aren't accustomed to play positions that you aren't accustomed to, and you're going to have to gauge going against talent that you may not be accustomed to going up to. Aptitude and acumen will find its way onto the football field. So I feel good that I got my brainiacs and I got my maulers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good group. It's a good group. But the West, it gets nasty on the West side. It gets nasty because we talking about some guys like Isaiah Eskridge at Kings Mountain, Tyson Moore of Providence Day, Terrence Mackey of Olympic, Joshua Hole of Providence Day, Caden Smith of Hunter Huss, Jaden Harris at Hopewell, and Ola Olasimbo at North Met. Now, here's what I love about these guys. You talk about nastiness. I love that, but these guys are technicians at their positions. We got a good mix of guys that can play guard and tackle. Caden Smith is a center. So we got a good mix of all of our positions covered. There's some flexibility there. The one I'll highlight is Tyson Moore of Providence Day because I've seen him multiple times up close. Mean streak, nasty interior lineman, comes off the football, plays to the echo of the whistle. Great hand placement. First and second steps are good and strong, quick, and he drives and he'll put you in the ground and give you pancakes and sausage for breakfast every time.
Well, I tell you what, I'll bet you some pancakes and sausage that your guy doesn't outplay my guy, Dominic Kelly of Cuthbertson. How about 6'5", 285 playing left tackle? I guarantee you my guy gets graded out better than your guy. We'll get to that off.
Well, you ain't heard this West defensive line, but you about to. So, Stan, let's take a look at the defensive line when these guys are going up against these big, nasty offensive linemen. Elite Nairn, Olympic. Ashan Abdul Ali, Mallard Creek. Jack Schultz, A.L. Brown. Zarion Jackson Bass, Chambers. Devonye Pettis, Crest. Kyler Watson, Ardrey Kill. Kenneth Odugba, Forest View. Peyton Scott, Butler. Ashton Miller, Mountain Island. Victor Aguilera, Huff. AJ Richardson, Kings Mountain. Ephraim Deese, Forest Hills.
Now, these young fellas are after my own heart. I get really emotional with these boys that get after the passer. And these big boys out here trying to reestablish the line of scrimmage. All right, let me get to these names. Let's go Ishan Abdul Ali from Mallet Creek. Let's go Jack Schultz out of A.L. Brown. Kyler Watson out of Audrey Kell. And Peyton Scott out of Butler. Victor Aguilera out of Huff. And Ephraim Deese out of Forest Hills. When you listen to some of those programs, I hit Mallet Creek, Huff, Butler, Audrey Kell. And then you get down here to Forest Hills. And the gentleman that I want to highlight right now is that left defensive end number 30, Ephraim Deese, out of Forest Hills. 6'4", 238, big boy, physical, loved his hand usage, and he is a violent tackler. The motor this young man plays with, I think, is going to inspire and, quite frankly, scare some of those guys that come from those programs that we talk more about. It's going to motivate that butt. So you got to have some of these Ephraim Deese type guys. When you get into this selection, these position groups, coaching staff is going to have a field day with that. Congratulations, Coach Wilson, and congratulations to these defensive linemen. Go hunt, fellas.
Absolutely. Deese is a commit to Charlotte. He's a really, really talented player.
I didn't even know this, but I knew he could ball. Knew he could ball.
But on this west side, man, you wait till you hear these guys and you watch the film on these guys. Mm-hmm. Talent personified. Elite Naren from Olympic. Zarion Jackson Bass from Chambers. Devonye Pettis from Crest. Kenneth Odugba from Forest View. Ashton Miller from Mountain Island. And AJ Richardson from Kings Mountain. You look at all those programs, man. Those are winning pedigree programs.
Absolutely.
The one I want to highlight, Zarion Jackson Bass, one of the state leaders in sacks. And that man plays two positions. He'll play D tackle and he'll shift out the defensive end. Where's number 44? I mean, he is incredible. And I'll tell you this, man. I saw him 2 years ago at a camp. He came out, he was a sophomore and won MVP of the entire camp. Just an incredible motor, great work ethic, and get this, he's committed to Yale. What does that tell you about that young man and his GPA and his academic acumen? Incredible stuff right there. I love that D-line group. We got a good mix of speed, pass rushing, and run stopping ability with some big guys as well.
And can I say this real quick on the D-line? I know we're transitioning. And congratulations, it's a big deal. And don't get it twisted. You can get drafted into the National Football League out of the Ivy League. About 3 years ago, I was in Atlanta, and the Falcons in the 7th round drafted a linebacker named Foye Oluokun out of Yale. Yeah. The Jaguars just gave him $50 million. I think 40 of that guarantee, 35 of that guarantee. The brother's not hurting, so it can't happen. My overall other point is, when I look at this defensive line group for the both of us, Matt, this is so positionless now. You got guys that can line up at the 2-point stance. You got guys that can kick down and play that 4-eye or that 5 in a 3-4 odd front. Some of those guys reduce down, they can play the shade or the nose. Like today's player on defense, not only must you be able to play the space and tackle in space, we know you got to have your moves and be able to get to the quarterback, but where you lined up and how these coaches are going to deploy these young men, I am very impressed by this year's crop of defensive linemen and just the positionless flexibility that they provide.
Absolutely. That's well said, Stan. That is well said. Talk about positionless flexibility, even more so now with so many spread offenses. That's our linebackers. So let's talk about who are the linebackers in this year's Queen City Senior Bowl. Elijah Haynes, Ashbrook. J.J. Coleman, Butler. Jaleel Muldrow, Mallard Creek. Jordan Thompson, Chambers. Steven Zykowski, Porter Ridge. Josh Smith, North Gaston. Jordan Wilkes, Hickory Ridge. Layden Ford, West Charlotte. Josh Isaiah, Independence. Savalas Ray, Berry. Derek Brown Jr., Charlotte Christian. Darren Griffin, Shelby.
On the east, let's go over here to Butler. Let's get brother J.J. Coleman. Welcome to the party. Jamil Monroe from Mallard Creek. Step right on up. Stefan Zayakowski out of Porter Ridge. I know you thought I was gonna mess that up too. Let's go Jordan Wilkes out of Hickory Ridge. Congratulations to you, Jordan. Let's go Josh Isaiah. Big A. And let's also go Derek Brown Jr. out of Charlotte Christian. Again, not enough time to do the whole thing. If I had to highlight somebody in specific, it would be number 9 outside linebacker Jordan Wilkes of Hickory Ridge. 5'11", 220 in words, explosive, physical, and physical. That's a kid that gets after and he gets it done. Overall, what I saw from my linebacking core this year, and it's probably heightened, more than any other group we've had. These kids make plays on the ball on my side. I counted several forced fumbles, sacks, interceptions, pass defense. And I'll just stop right there and say, when I was playing for Al Grove, a guy that has coached Lawrence Taylor, a guy that has coached Willie McGinnis, and several other Hall of Fame and NFL Super Bowl champion defensive linemen and linebackers, one thing kept coming up. Young men, if you're out there on the field long enough, you should make tackles. That's just a standard for playing the position. Going to the next level and taking your play to the next level is about making plays on the ball. I repeat, forced fumbles, sacks, interceptions, pass defense. That's what's going to get you visible. And as a group, as I wrap up, I don't know we've ever had another linebacker positional group that did that at this level as this year's group.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited about these West linebackers. They're a group of varied talents. You got inside guys, you got outside guys, you got pass rushers, you got guys that can specialize in playing pass coverage. So let's talk about them. So Elijah Haynes at Ashbrook, Jordan Thompson at Chambers, Joshua Smith at North Gaston, Layden Ford at West Charlotte, Savalas Ray of Berry, and to Darren Griffin of Shelby. The guy I'm going to highlight here, a lot of those names you may not know that well, but the one I want to talk about is the one that you probably know the least about, and that's Savalas Ray of Berry. So I watched Savalas when they played Harding earlier this year, and Berry had a lot of injuries. They were down, pretty bad. They had a rough season, but this man played every down 110%, man. 110%. He's fast. He's probably at the next level. He's probably a hybrid guy, that strong safety outside linebacker rover type. He comes down in the box and supports the run. He can play the pass. He had a pick 6 in that game that I saw him in. An emotional leader. He even flipped over and played some receiver because they had so many injuries and made big catches. Guys like that are the reason why we have this game, because they may play on a team that doesn't get a lot of press, doesn't get a lot of media, and they had a rough season.
Right.
but now they can come out here and make a name for themselves and get an offer because college coach is going to be here. And, it can be a life-changing kind of deal, man. You never know.
No doubt about it.
You never know,
no
man.
Doubt about it. And listen, I can tell you, former NFL scout, and I still talk to scouts and general managers on a very regular basis, there has never been more of a premium on what we used to call those rovers. And, when you start getting up, you get exposed to different terminology. The star or the money position is what they call it. Yep. It's essentially a nickel linebacker. Those brothers are not only getting scholarships, but those brothers are getting paid on Sunday as well. If you can cover and tackle in the open field with the skill set of the gentleman that we've highlighted here at that linebacker spot, there is a place for you to keep playing at the highest level in the land, no doubt.
Absolutely, man. So we've talked about everybody else just about, but now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We got to talk about the guys that stop all them pretty passing games we were talking about earlier. And that is the defensive backs.
Josh Switzer, RGQ. Will Ross, South Point. Armonte Ferguson, Charlotte Christian. Keyshawn Jackson, Harding. Brandon McCall Weber, Crest. Keegan Moose, Mount Pleasant. Jaden Bowden, Mallard Creek. TJ McGill, Chambers. Juice Jones, Butler. Justin Ross, Hunter Huss. Lamarion Witherspoon, Garinger. Amari Sanders Richardson, West Mecklenburg. Diego Parks, Harding.
Love my group from the East, defensive backs. You know the programs. You'll recognize these names. Congratulations to this bunch. Joshua Switzer out of Audrey Cale. Armonte Ferguson out of Charlotte Christian. Keegan Moore out of Mount Pleasant. Let's go Jaden Bowden out of Mallard Creek. Apologize if that's Bowden instead of Bowden. I played in the ACC. It's Bowden to me. That's my take. Juice Jones out of Butler. And Lamarion Witherspoon out of Garinger. Listen, I just made all those references about the NFL, and it's just happenstance that it leads me to this point. This group, highlighted in my mind by Jaden Bowden and Mallard Creek, recovery speed out the you-know-what, tremendous ball skills, tracks the ball, pass deflections all over the place, loose hips, can get in and out of his breaks and transition fluently, easy money. And quite frankly, he's got the swag and what I call the athletic arrogance. Now, he's susceptible to double moves, so I ain't gonna pat him on the back too much here. Make sure you stay disciplined, young man. But overall, let me tell you this, bringing it back to my NFL point. Having played for Al Groh, Bill Belichick, and a Bill Parcells disciple, you cannot play for the Patriots as a defensive back unless you can tackle willingly and consistently. And when I watch the tape on my guys, the open field tackling and the awareness of the run fits in the run game, I was absolutely floored. Never have I seen a collection of DBs that was this disciplined, willing, and quite frankly, talented. Keep doing this, young man. And those guys that kick off on Sunday when y'all get out of church, they'll be calling you as well.
Absolutely. He's very talented. I really liked watching his film. I wholeheartedly agree. Now on the west side, we got a really, really great group of guys that can play corner, safety, position flexibility, and coming up and stopping the run is impressive. And they like to tackle. They like to hit. And you don't find that a lot in the high school DBs, man. We used to design plays to get one-on-one with a corner because corners didn't want to hit. But these guys bring it. They bring it. So let's talk about them. Will Ross of South Point, Keyshawn Jackson at Harding, Brandon McCall-Weber of Crest, TJ McGill at Chambers, Justin Ross at Hunter Huss, Omari Sanders Richardson at West Meck, and Diego Parks at Harding. What a group right there, man. Special guys, high character guys. They play hard every down. The one I want to highlight is Will Ross at South Point. And I'm highlighting Will because he's changed the whole perception of South Point's defense. You think about South Point, you know they run the football, red bone, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
They're known
they had a decade.
Yeah, they're known as an offensive run-first football team. You don't think about the defense. But now, when you think about South Point, and people think about, okay, we can throw the ball on them because they see you run all the time. No, you can't. And you can't because of Will Ross. This man covers so much space at the safety spot. People try him all the time. They try to get him over the top. He comes and he makes plays in the air. He'll catch the ball, take it back for a TD pick six. He's got several big hits on his highlights of coming down and filling the alley on the run. You see a lot of run in Gaston County. I don't know why, but I'm partial to the passing game.
It's a mindset, you know.
But he is super impressive. He just announced he was committed to Wake Forest. That tells you a lot about his academic ability as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he's a big time player, man. So I'm excited about this DB group. A lot of good kids and a lot of talent and a lot of length as well. You know, the big thing now is those big, long corners. And you got a couple of those guys in this group as well. So I'm excited to see them perform, you know, in the Queen City Senior Bowl on December 17th.
Congratulations to that bunch.
Absolutely. So we got one group left. And these guys are obviously very important because we just saw special teams can cost you a game. You know, we've seen that throughout the years.
So let's talk Panthers last Sunday.
I didn't want to say it.
Tennessee game. How many other games this year have we seen in the professional and collegiate ranks that special teams cost you?
Oh my gosh, too many. So let's talk about our special teamers here in the Queen City Senior Bowl. Gilberto Lorenzana, North Mecklenburg. Jackson Moore, Marvin Ridge. Jack Mowry, Audrey Kell.
All right, this one's real quick. I got two names here. From a kicking standpoint, I'm going with Jackson Moore out of Marvin Ridge. And as a long snapper, congratulations to Jack Mowry out of Audrey Kell. 2 quick points as we're short on time as it relates to special teams. Something that I played the majority of my career. And I wasn't a specialist, but just being in those meetings and getting the coaching at the highest level on how you execute this thing and what it means for the overall big picture. Offense, defense, special teams, right? In a game like this, it's going to be critical that Jackson Moore of Marvin Ridge, you want as many touchbacks as possible. Why? You got some dynamic athletes back there that this coaching staff has been scouting. So you don't know by putting the ball on the left hash or putting the ball on the numbers on the right, what if that's the sweet spot for one of those West return men that's going to run it back and make the squad look silly. It's scholarships at stake out here, man. So you make yourself look good, obviously, and you protect the guys on your sideline by putting this thing in the back of the end zone for a touchback. Also, when I think about snapping, this is not the time for a botch snap. And I'm being serious. If you botch a snap in the Queen City Senior Bowl, given the high-profile nature of what this game is, coaches from around the country are going to ask, wait a minute, the East, with that roster, lost to the West because of what? A botched snap? What's the next question? Who was it? Who botched the snap? Because now there becomes a reputation that when the competition heightens, and that moment, things get tight. So anyway, not trying to scare you young fellas, I'm just telling you, here are the expectations. Players, I'm trying to get it straight now. Big players make big plays in big games, and every game is a big game.
Absolutely. And this is a big one because every year we see a ton of college coaches come out and they're ready to offer kids based on their performance, in this game. Absolutely. So on the West side, unfortunately, we didn't get a long snapper to apply, for the position. So I'm hoping one of these guys can long snap. But we do have a great kicker, and that is Gilberto Lorenzana of North Meck. Now, Gilberto has a ton of offers from local schools, and the reason why is he's got a beast of a leg, man. You talk about touchbacks in a game like this, every time Gilberto is going to kick this ball, it's going to be a touchback. I promise you. And he's probably good from 45 and in, which in high school, you don't see it. Most teams don't even have a kicker. They're always going for two.
And I feel comfortable with Jackson Moore in the same way, not to steal the light from your guy, but Jackson Moore, the highlights that I've seen, brother, I've seen him in the high 40s. I've seen him attempt one and knock a couple down at 50. So to your point, this could come down to these kickers and who makes a mistake last.
Absolutely. But they're special talent and deserving to be in this game for sure.
Absolutely.
So that's our Queen City Senior Bowl teams, man.
Yeah, man.
We want to thank once again over 285 applicants for this bowl game. Yeah. Thank you to our sponsors for your support of this game, and these kids and these coaches and the parents and everyone else. Now, very important here, if your name was called tonight, please be on the lookout for an email so you can confirm your spot of playing in the game. Because if you don't confirm your spot, if you don't confirm your spot, I guarantee you some of those guys that didn't get picked will be glad to take it, and they will.
Without question.
Okay. This is a great opportunity. Once again, you'll get additional details. Once you send that confirmation in, we'll send some more details out to you. We want to thank everyone for watching tonight, and we want to wish you a good night from the Queen City Senior Bowl. Make sure you visit queencityseniorbowl.com to get your tickets or donate to support all these wonderful young men, coaches, and programs. Thank you all so much once again. We wish you a good night.
Congratulations, Gladiators. I salute you.